Hello, everybody. This is episode 6. Um, in a rather reflective mood this week for week 6. Um, just been banding about some ideas with my team, executive team, um, just about some of the direction we're going. Um, One of the things I will say about doing this company is when you realize you're going to do something different, it's actually quite difficult. And I make no bones about that at all. Um, because sometimes the hard slog means that um, when you finish, you really benefit from uh, having done things a bit differently. But one of the things I noticed about incubators, full stop, is that often there's a real churn where individuals just come in, and often it's just seen as a way for people who run that incubator to pass them on to a venture capitalist or any other kind of investor that's going to put some money aside for them. And likewise, there are other companies who just look at an incubator as a way of being able to give, um, or accelerator sometimes, a way of being able to give some money so individuals can get going. Whereas I believe that the primary purpose of any incubator should be to provide education, some coaching, and assistance with some growth. If there is an opportunity to get invited to um, pitch for investment, I think that's fine. But the longer that a startup can hold on to their money, for me, the better. And yeah, I've been really struggling this week a bit, personally. I'm going to be really honest with the concept that evidently the reason why a lot of incubators and organizations like this go down a similar route is because it's a lot more straightforward, and trying to buck the trend from physical to virtual, focusing more on the education piece and the coaching rather than the um, just thinking about the funding is quite challenging, because then when you go to have conversations and just think about how you're going to shape it, that stuff can be a bit challenging. In addition, the funding that I'm doing this to the initial funding that I'm doing for the holding company for this is quite different. It's equity crowdfunding. It's meant that we've had to make sure that all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, because again, as I said in the last one, I want to make sure that we're well above board and that there isn't any concern for those who would invest in the organisation, but also making sure that our core offering is fair and equitable. And I'm a big believer in collaborative economics. I know that essentially a lot of the ways we're taught about building businesses to go out there and knock off the competition and wipe people out and all the rest of it. And I feel that that kind of feast and famine and first to the post sometimes really crushes us as individuals. And ethically, for me, I want to be in a position where we can help organizations and do really well. And make no bones about it, I want us to be profitable and make money. But we've got to do it in the right way. And I did have a bit of a wobble this week. One of the organizations that I've kind of modeled my collaborative economics on is the John Lewis Partnership. And they've had a tough financial week, primarily because the bottom line, or the part of their brand that has been really important, has been about never knowingly undersold, which is going to be really difficult when all the competition in the market are actually selling stuff really low. But I still stand by the fact that there is a collaborative sense of ownership, so that you're responsible to a few people who you can take on the journey with you. In this case, it will be 1,000 investors. But it just made me really dig even deeper to go, right, if I'm going to do this, working with my team to make sure that this gets done right, that we recognize that one of the flaws of John Lewis is obviously the market's changing, and the promise that they give at the beginning was they're always going to go for the lowest common denominator in the market, and that's not what we're going for. But it has made me realize that if I am going to be responsible to so-called partners or individuals who will be investing in us, that we need to be really robust about it. So meeting with lawyers on Monday, and I'm going through the lawyers on Monday to see not only how they can support us as a holding company, but for all the companies that we're going to provide services for as well, making sure that we have got the right things in place for things around the contract, the subscriptions, term sheets if they want to go and get investment, just making sure that's all okay. And it's exciting, but it's also quite scary as well. So yeah, quite reflective this week. Still very, very positive, but just had some things that really have caused some really good pause for thought. And I'm realizing as well that one of the things that's always driven me is better to be done than be perfect. But even getting to done can be a tough struggle. So yeah, that's me checking in, really honest. Again, as I said this week, the energy is a bit, not low, but not as high as it has been in weeks, and it's been a bit more reflective. Hoping to ramp it up again next week, specifically because we're going to start looking for coaches and looking for partners that we can put into place once things really go. So there it is, episode 6, week 6. Yeah, really exciting, but a bit more reflective than normal. So thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode. Peace.